Welcome from Hope from Above YouTube channel. This evening we are hosting a by Rubin. This evening we will be discussing the lawlessness of the Catholic Church and its pedophilia in Milwaukee. Please let us know what is on your mind this evening, Mr. Rubin.
This evening I want Catholics to know to avoid talking about how the Catholic Church ignores the laws of the United States. I also want them to know they should avoid talking about the 6,000 pages of documents that were forced to be released by the Catholic Church showing how it hid and covered for pedophiles in Milwaukee. Thirdly, we all know that USA presidential hopefuls go before the Catholic Church. They meet with Timothy Dolan at the Al Smith dinner. Mr. Dolan was instrumental for us in covering up and protecting church assets from lawsuits because of our pedophile priests.
Well, Mr. Rubin, again, I'm not surprised. No matter where we look in this world, your church is implicit in covering up sex abuse crimes. Could you give us more background on what happened in Milwaukee?
As you know, we have read mass that targets all states to help indoctrinate you judges and attorneys to our side. We tried our best to keep this under wraps. The Milwaukee magazine even published the following. Some reporters at the paper believe longtime Milwaukee District Attorney E. Michael McCann, a devout Catholic, had no interest in prosecuting abusive priests. The district attorney blamed state Supreme Court decisions that made prosecution difficult, but took no interest in trying to change the state law. McCann, moreover, seemed compromised by his close relationship with Weakland. Weakland sought and received private advice from McCann about a sexual relationship that ultimately resulted in an accusation of sexual abuse against the Archbishop.
Thank the Lord that even with having a Catholic in the district attorney who was helping to try and cover for child raping priests, it was brought to light. Can you provide some information on Mr. Weakland?
Weakland, who came to Milwaukee in 1977, had been an intellectual luminary and influential leader of the Benedictine order under Pope Paul VI. He was consulted on liturgical changes at the highest levels in Rome. He championed the role of women in the church and led a drafting of the American Bishop's Pastoral Letter on the Economy, tenets of which are being echoed by Pope Francis nearly 30 years later.
Sounds like he was a very influential person in the Vatican. Mr. Rubin, can you tell us Catholics should not discuss him, even though his retirement was celebrated by the Church in 2002 as a man of God?
Mr. Weakland used $450,000 in church funds in a failed attempt to silence a former male lover who years later accused him of date rape. Today, he is a central, if largely invisible, figure in the bankruptcy. He has admitted in depositions that he shredded sex abuse documents and moved sexually abusive priests from parish to parish without telling members of their histories. He suggests in his 2009 memoir, A Pilgrim in a Pilgrim Church, that he understood in those days that sex with minors was a sin, but not necessarily a crime.
It's obvious that the Catholic Church does not view pedophilia as a crime, since you have district attorneys, high-ranking priests and popes that cover up the crimes. Sad as the American people chant "Make America Great Again" while ignoring the Antichrist runs the country. Could you tell about the pedophile crimes that took place in Milwaukee, Mr. Rubin?
One priest was Father William Effinger, would be the first to make big headlines in Milwaukee. Effinger served at a number of parishes in Milwaukee and had been a serial abuser, with more than 150 child victims. It was discovered that the Milwaukee Archdiocese knew about the abuse, but did doing nothing to warn potential victims or their families. Instead, like many abusive priests, Effinger was transferred around the city.
Very sad, Mr. Rubin. Our leaders are trained and mentored by your institution.
It is sad, Wayne, but we are still the one and Holy Mother Church who is head of all world's religions. No matter how many rapes we commit, the world's leaders and great businessmen still go to Rome. Wayne, in the end there were over 500 victims of rape and abuse.
Could you tell us Timothy Dolan's role in this scandal?
In a letter directly to the Vatican, we learned that Mr. Dolan created cemetery funds to shield $56 million from paying victims of rape. Mr. Dolan also paid $20,000 to priests who raped children to help them disappear.
Sounds like a great deal, Mr. Rubin. You can break the law and get paid to leave.
Well, Wayne, we didn't want to hurt the image of the church and our bottom line in donations too.
What you like to tell your Catholic brothers, Mr. Rubin, in closing this evening?
I want Catholics to know that they should avoid any discussion about the thousands of rape victims due to our extra-biblical beliefs. Please change the subject quickly anytime rape or priest abuse comes up. Keep telling people the Catholic Church is poor. This will help us to avoid paying out billions more to rape victims.
Thank you, Mr. Rubin, for the time. Thank you for listening to Hope Above YouTube channel.